What's up, my ninjas? It's your boy, Saiyan Ninja Warrior Z here, and today I'm doing a Dragon Ball podcast, and the title of it is The Power of Dragon Ball Characters. So that's going to be today's topic, so let's jump right in. Dragon Ball. Probably the most controversial manga and anime of all time when it comes to battles against more most of the time other anime characters or especially comic book characters. I've seen no more heated debates. I've seen Naruto debates get kind of bad, but nothing near how bad Dragon Ball Z debates get, to the point where on several websites such as Comic Vine, Dragon Ball Z versus comic battles were outright banned. So that's how extreme a topic that really was. It always got heated and devolved into horrible flame wars, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably into the battle communities and frequent battle boards on various websites. That's what I did. I used to do it a lot more back when I was younger, and I still do it a little bit now, but not nearly the volume that I did back in the day. So I was involved in flame wars and all that nonsense, but it was all in good fun most of the time. Things did sometimes get personal, but such is the way of the internet. We like to take things seriously. But today's topic is going to be about the power of Dragon Ball characters, and this is probably going to be not probably. This is going to be a biased video. I will sound like a Dragon Ball fanboy, but you know what? I don't care, because in the end of the day, I am a Dragon Ball fanboy. And I believe that these characters are extremely powerful and probably a lot stronger than a lot of people like to say. No offense to comic fans, but particularly comic fans who say those kinds of things. But today, we're just going to talk about how strong are these characters really in terms of battles in comparison to other superheroes like Superman and other superheroes. Superman, who I think probably can't beat a lot of the Dragon Ball top tiers at this point, honestly. But we're going to get into the hypocrisy of other fandoms when it comes to Dragon Ball characters as well. So let's dive right into it. And we're going to start with, I think it's the most appropriate thing to do is to start saga by saga. I'm not going to do detailed mathematical calculations because, quite frankly, math and Dragon Ball do not go hand in hand. We're talking about a world where the moon was blown to pieces and there were no adverse effects on the earth whatsoever. And we're going to start with Dragon Ball for starters, just to get an idea of how strong and powerful these characters really are. I mean, back in the day, really back before Goku, basically he was a dust mite compared to what he became even in, say, the Frieza saga or the beginning of the Saiyan saga, compared to how strong he was in Dragon Ball. But even when he was just a kid, he was strong enough to lift cars and he was bulletproof. That's the kind of stuff that a lot of people, I don't know why, it just seems like it's ignored in other debates where people always talk about, Superman's bulletproof, or Iron Man's bulletproof, so-and-so, blah, 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 he's bulletproof. And then Goku, in the very first episode of Dragon Ball, with basically no training, he was bulletproof. I mean, he took later in the series, this is going to have spoilers, fair spoiler warning. I'm going to be spoiling some things here. So you guys aren't up to date with Dragon Ball Z Super or GT, you might want to watch out, because I'm going to be giving out some spoilers here. But most of you guys, I'm sure, have seen pretty much all of those series. But in the very first episode of Dragon Ball, Goku gets shot in the head by Bulma. And he's fine. I think there's a little bruise on his forehead, but, I mean, as a little kid, he was bulletproof. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how tough the guy is, I don't know what does. I mean, people always think that, he could get stabbed by swords or killed by guns and stuff. And really, the only sword that I think could probably hurt him would be Trunks if he had his guard down. He had no ki in his body, so he just let his defenses down. But and then you got Trunks swinging the sword, so there's also that. And who knows what Trunks' sword is made out of, because it can cut Dragon Ball Super level characters, so God knows. What's crazy is that people have the nerve to say Dragon Ball characters are weak, or Dragon Ball, like Naruto can beat Sage Mode Naruto can beat Namet Saga Goku and stuff like that. And no offense to Naruto fans, because I know some Naruto fans don't even watch Dragon Ball, so they don't know. And some of them, I don't know. Some of them just don't care or whatever. I don't know what it is. But this isn't an attack on any other fandoms, but I'm just stating my opinion. And my experience is because Dragon Ball has its fair share of people who really overrate the hell out of these characters. But I'm specifically talking about, this video is about the down players and how strong these characters really are. So people talk about Goku, Kid Goku being only, people go crazy that Superman's bulletproof, right? But bullets just bounce off of Kid Goku. He's a kid. At his weakest point in the series, the kid is bulletproof. And then if we fast forward a little bit more into the Dragon Ball saga, Master Roshi blows up the moon with a Kamehameha. Completely obliterates the moon. And Roshi, by all intents and purposes, would be considered fodder in the Dragon Ball world by now. And he's a complete and total weakling compared to the characters later into the series. But even back then, he was powerful enough to blow up the freaking moon. I mean, the amount of energy it takes to blow up the moon would be enough to knock out characters like Superman or straight up kill Iron Man or Naruto. Most of those guys, they can't handle moon level attacks. Yet Roshi at the beginning of Dragon Ball can blow up freaking moons, man. That should give you an idea of how strong Dragon Ball characters really are. But I'm not going to say that Roshi can beat Superman, because obviously he can't. Roshi's not fast enough, he's not durable enough, and he's not strong enough. And a Moon Destroyer might not do anything to Superman, depending on the mood he's in or which version we're talking about here. But that's my point about how strong Dragon Ball characters really are. People compare weaker characters to them that really, they just shouldn't be compared to them. And then we'll fast forward to the Namet Saga, and not the Namet Saga, the Saiyan Saga, and then that's when things really get crazy. That's when the crazy power. What's the word I'm looking for? Power ups happen. We have Piccolo, one of the strongest characters that I think is really underrated because of how weak he is in terms of power in the series. It's Raditz. And he's got to be one of the strongest weak characters that I've ever seen in an anime, because the guy, I mean, let's put it this way. Piccolo vaporized the moon, right? And this may be reaching, but I think this is a valid statement. Piccolo completely vaporizes the moon. There's nothing left of it. I mean, there wasn't even debris. Like when Roshi blasted the moon, you could see the debris. Piccolo straight up vaporized the moon. But then when he uses the same attack, he had his hands in the same position, so I'm assuming it's the same attack. He blasted Raditz pretty much as hard as he could before he used his strongest attack, but he blasted Raditz as hard as he could. He was trying to kill him, and Raditz literally laughed off the attack. And then Goku tried blasting him with the Kamehameha, he's way stronger than Roshi was at this point, who easily blew up the moon. He blasts Raditz with the Kamehameha, and Raditz pretty much laughs it off. He shrugs it off like it was nothing. A moon level attack, an attack that just completely blows the moon to pieces. Raditz treats it like it ain't shit. So how durable is Raditz? I mean, and he's considered a weak ass character in the series, and even referred to as a weakling by Vegeta and Nappa, but the dude shrugs off moon level attacks. I mean, to put this into perspective, a lot of people share scans and stuff like that with the Flash using his infinite mass punch, where he puts a crater in the moon, or Superman smashing into a dark moon and destroying it, but he knocks himself out. Their strongest attacks were supposedly moon level or damaged the moon, but he just. Now, I'm not going to really get into Flash because Flash has done way crazier stuff than mess with the moon, and I believe he could kill most Dragon Ball characters because he's so fast he can travel through time. He could go back and kill Goku when he was a baby if he wanted to, or steal all of his speed. So Flash is a legitly powerful character. But my point is feats like that are used like they're the end all be all whenever they're in a debate. Superman smashing a moon or nearly cracking a moon in half, and Raditz just blows off, getting blasted by attacks that should, by all intents and purposes, blow the moon to pieces, and he just laughs it off. Now, some people argue and say that there's no proof that those attacks were moon level. Well, there are two reasons. One, Dragon Ball or manga in general, do not have narrations. Like, comic books have narrations that explain the feats in explicit detail and explain how powerful the attacks are. It's very rare in manga. Two, why would Piccolo and Vegeta why would Piccolo and Goku purposely attack Raditz with a much weaker attack? I mean, come on, man. That doesn't make sense to me. Why would they blast him with a weaker attack? Why? Why would they hold back when they were purposely trying to kill him to get Gohan back? So, you can take it as what you want. I will take it as those attacks are indeed capable of blowing up the moon, and Raditz shrugged them off because Goku was even freaked out and wondered what Raditz was made out of because he was able to survive almost a point-blank Kamehameha, or Kamehameha. I don't know how. He wasn't really that far away from him, so he was still freaked out because he saw what Roshi did with the Kamehameha, and he knows what the Kamehameha is capable of. I should give you just another example of how freakishly strong and powerful Dragon Ball characters are. Even characters like Raditz can laugh off attacks that, some of the strongest characters in Marvel and DC have trouble dealing with. I mean, Superman has shrugged off much worse, and he's also been knocked out by a lot less. He's extremely inconsistent. It's just like people say Dragon Ball characters are inconsistent, and in a lot of ways they are, because I'll get into Super in a little bit, but Super is full of weird inconsistencies. But for some reason, when it comes to Dragon Ball, any inconsistency is taken as fat and used to make the character seem weaker, where in comics or almost any other anime, inconsistencies are just brushed aside as an excuse, or they're just saying, nah, it's an inconsistency. But all the other feats are still valid, but the inconsistency isn't. But with Dragon Ball, one inconsistency disqualifies all the other crazy feats, which is just weird. But in my opinion, Raditz is top tier, and he would have no trouble killing the majority of Marvel characters. Pretty much any character below characters like Thor, Raditz would mop the floor with. Especially in terms of brawling and fighting, in a straight up fight, physical combat. Now, there are some characters that, they get phased straight through him and rip his heart out or something like that. There are other abilities, and that's another thing that Dragon Ball characters lack for a long time, is they lack what a lot of people call hacks. Broken abilities such as being able to rip somebody's soul out or take their mind over or do all kinds of weird crap. They're vulnerable to stuff like that. So even much weaker characters, like, say, Kitty Pryde from the X-Men, if she wanted to, Raditz would be arrogant. He wouldn't be afraid of some little girl. If she faced her finger into his skull and turned it solid, he'd die. And that would be hilarious for him to get killed by someone who's, for all intents and purposes, not any more stronger than a human. But in terms of physical combat, he'd have no trouble wiping the floor with the majority of Marvel characters and even laughing off with them trying to kill him. I mean, there aren't too many that can let off moon level attacks, man. I mean, you're talking about, in their world, he'd be considered near God tier, or maybe not quite God tier, because Marvel gods are on a whole nother level, but he'd be considered extremely strong. And that's just Raditz, who's weak in the Dragon Ball universe. He's fodder compared to everybody else. I mean, Nappa and Vegeta laughed and weren't surprised that he got killed. And then we'll fast forward to that Nappa and Vegeta fight. And either the Saiyan saga, I'll talk about the Frieza saga, and then glance over the Buu saga, then I'll get into Super. But this is going to be a pretty long video. But, we'll talk about the fight between the power of Nappa and Vegeta. Now, Vegeta already blew up a planet. Some people say it's filler, but I believe that counts as a canon. Some people say it's filler, which it is filler, but I believe it counts as a feat and a factual feat that can be used because Akira Toriyama never once denounced any filler as not being canon or it not being official or it not counting or whatever. He never denounced Vegeta blowing up a planet, and in a lot of ways, Akira Toriyama actually came up with ideas for filler, such as youngster playing baseball and stuff like that. So you can't really say filler doesn't count because unless Akira Toriyama says it himself, it is definitely valid. So Vegeta completely blows up a planet with 2 fingers, with a little ray from his fingers, and completely blows a planet up like it's nothing. And he was holding back. So, even let's go back. Another character who's called weak, Yamcha. Yamcha took out a Cyberman who was said to be as strong as Raditz. So even Yamcha is pretty much on the same level as Raditz, where he will probably laugh off moon level attacks, and even freaking Yamcha could wipe the floor with the majority of comic and anime characters. And a lot of people think he's this super weak character, but the guy's actually super strong. He's just weak in the Dragon Ball universe. Then we have Krillin. Krillin straight up killed 3 or 4 Cybermen. He one-shotted them with that energy blast thing that he did. That I think it's called the spreading energy wave, whatever it's called. He completely killed 3 or 4 Raditz level characters in an instant. Like they were just nothing for him. So even Krillin, man, Tien, Shinhan, all these characters, even Chaozu, had no problem floating around in 10 times gravity on King Kai's planet. So Dragon Ball characters are extremely physically strong and extremely durable. By the time they're in the Saiyan saga, they're at least planetary level threats. Then by the time we get to the Frieza saga, we're talking about multi-planet level threats because Frieza in his first form with 1 finger blew planet Vegeta to pieces like it was nothing for him. He was just laughing the whole time. And I mean, I don't usually like using power levels, but to put that into perspective, I forgot how high his power level was, but Raditz, I think his power level was around 1200 or something like that. It wasn't really anything that special, but the guy should be near planet busting capabilities. Vegeta for sure was a planet buster. I think he was around 24,000, somewhere around that area. Frieza in his first form, I think, was around 100 and something thousand, somewhere around there. But by the end, him and Goku at the end of the saga, their power levels were 140 million and 150 million. Somewhere around, it was it was over 100 million. So imagine that. Someone with a power level of 12,000 and 24,000 can blow a planet to pieces. So imagine how strong these guys are at 100 and something million. And after the Frieza saga, power levels become completely pointless. And by the time we get to the Cell saga, we have statements of solar system busting with Cell saying that he was going to indeed destroy the solar system. And I firmly believe that was true. In all the Dragon Ball guidebooks and official material, it is stated that his Kamehameha had enough power to blow away an entire solar system. Some people will say that that's not true because he never did it, but your opinion is not greater than the facts actually stated by the creators of the series and were recognized by Akira Toriyama. I mean, that's the end of that. I mean, you can try and argue with facts all you want, but you can't argue with Akira Toriyama. And that's a fact. So Cell indeed, it's solar system level, which would put Super Saiyan 2 Gohan around the same level. So these guys are at solar system level by the Cell saga, and by the Buu saga, the scaling just gets completely out of whack. I don't even know how to properly scale the Buu saga. All I know is that by the time Majin Vegeta arrives, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan has been surpassed. So pretty much anyone past Super Saiyan 2 Gohan's level is solar system. And the filler arc Kid Buu, it showed Kid Buu destroy a galaxy. So you can take that with a grain of salt if you want, but it didn't show that. So I would assume that will put Buu and other characters around galaxy level. And with Dragon Ball Super characters being put around, well, it's already been shown in Dragon Ball Super, they are indeed universal level characters. Anyone God, Super Saiyan God Goku tier and above is a universal threat. And we get to the point where their punches are affecting the entire universe. The shockwaves from their punches were destroying the entire universe. And that's a feat that's only been replicated by the highest tier Marvel cosmic characters. So that gives you an idea of just how strong Dragon Ball characters are by the time they're in Dragon Ball Super. And as far as people, a lot of times people say that they're not that fast, but there are also feats to support that they are well beyond light speed, including Goku outrunning light in Dragon Ball when he outran the solar flare, Raditz dodging Piccolo's special beam cannon, nicknamed Light of the Dead, so that should be a hint. Some people will say that's not enough, but in the dub he said it was light speed. People will say that that's not canon, so that's okay. If you can take that with a grain of salt if you want, but it doesn't change the fact of how fast he is, because the beam was still nearly instantaneous. And by the time we get to the Frieza saga, Goku crossed half the planet in an instant, and the speed feats the characters just get faster from there. And then we have Dragon Ball Super, where Goku moves faster than time itself, which doesn't even make sense. That's like Flash level speed, but it happened. So these characters are indeed faster than light, and they are freakishly physically strong, capable of damaging universes with their fists, I guess, or planets easily. And now we have the confusing part about Dragon Ball, and it's the inconsistencies. And I think that's a lot of the times Dragon Ball characters lose debates is because of inconsistencies, and some people just aren't willing to argue against them, or they just give up. But I've never been that type, because I'll just bring up comic inconsistencies to counter that out. But there are inconsistencies and just all around weird things that happen. Like a lot of the best feats in this series were done earlier in Dragon Ball, when like a lot of people only use feats when using battles, which is a really flawed thing to do. I understand, because you can't dispute an on-panel feat, but on the other hand, are you gonna tell me that Master Roshi is stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta just because he blew up the moon and Gogeta didn't really blow anything up? I mean, come on. That wouldn't even make sense. But as far as inconsistencies go, it's just weird stuff. Like, one of my favorite feats, but also one of the ones that shot Super in the foot in a lot of ways, was Goku's fight with Beerus destroying the universe. So, I mean, and now we're with Goku Black and Hid in fights like that against Golden Frieza. Why isn't the universe just in shambles? I mean, maybe it's just what happens when two people using God Key battle. That could be the explanation. I don't know. That really should be explained. Maybe Goku can just control his power better. Whatever it is, it's beyond me. But they should be destroying planets and universes and galaxies and whatever. But for some reason, that doesn't happen. But just like Dragon Ball, the best feats are always earlier in the series to establish how powerful the characters are, and then after that, the fights look like, like a fight in the Buu saga looks like a fight in the Saiyan saga, even though the character's on a whole nother plane of power. But it is what it is, right? Dragon Ball does have inconsistencies and weird plot-induced things, but just like anything else, like comics, like characters that shouldn't be fighting gods that fight gods, and characters that are supposed to be godlike have godlike feats, and sometimes they get owned by characters way weaker than them. So everything is guilty of inconsistencies. But the whole point of this video, and I hope I got the point across, is just how strong Dragon Ball characters really are. These guys are able to contend with top tier Marvel Cosmics, in my opinion, and DC Cosmics. And Goku at this point, I'm probably going to get flack for this, but I don't even care. Goku at this point would whoop Superman's ass pretty easily. I mean, he just, even only the strongest versions of Superman have a chance at this point. The strongest versions of Thor, the strongest versions of any characters. He pretty much beat the brakes off anybody in their base forms in the Marvel world, with the exception of characters like Galactus, true multi-universal power threats. But besides that, Goku's pretty much the king of the castle now. And I probably sound like a massive Dragon Ball fanboy, and that's because I am. But I'm also just giving my opinion. A lot of people like to give their opinions when it comes to their love for comics, and they like to call Dragon Ball fans fanboys because they make videos like this or statements like this. So I'll probably get called a fanboy, but I'm okay with that because those people are fanboys too. Anyone that says Superman can beat anybody is a freaking Superman fanboy because he's gotten his ass handed to him in his own comics. So you think that you're no better than I am. You're a Superman fanboy. So I don't care. But Superman, and Goku would whoop Superman's ass. He would straight up murder the whole. Raditz would probably kill the whole Naruto universe and most anime universes. Now, I don't want to get into the stronger universes, or universes that should be around the same power level, like worlds like Saint Seiya, because I know how strong those characters are, but it's hard to gauge their power because in a lot of ways it's like Dragon Ball. They're fighting with universal or planetary power, but the series, it's hard to find any actual feats with them blowing up planets and stuff like that. But indeed, the statements do exist to suggest that they're as powerful as they are. So it's your word against the Arthur at that point. So I believe Saint Seiya characters are indeed extremely strong. It's just hard to debate with them, but because it's hard to find out where they stand in terms of actual power, because they have less feats than Dragon Ball characters do, but they are indeed like top tier, super powerful, badass characters, along with a lot of other animes. They can take Dragon Ball down. So I'm not saying Dragon Ball is the strongest universe ever made. I'm just saying it's not weak, and it is extremely powerful, and it's downplayed to hell by particularly comic fans. And I hate to keep saying that, but almost every single one I argue with always say that. They don't even say, because I believe, it's fact that DC and Marvel, the universes would beat Dragon Ball. They have stronger characters. It's just annoying how they say that they're weak. It's like, dude, Goku could murder 95% of their universe. And that's just a fact. They only have a few characters that are really universal level, but that's a different debate for another day. But I hope I got my point across that Dragon Ball characters are actually extremely strong, top-tier powerhouses, and they are not to be taken lightly. And you guys are Dragon Ball fans, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And you guys are comic fans, I really hope you enjoyed this video too. And if you want to argue with me in the comments, bring it on. I'll be down there waiting for you. And thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you liked it, please leave a like and a subscribe. And Saiyan Ninja Warrior Z out. I'll see you guys in the comments, guys. Peace.